Hey, this is Brooks with Character Design Forge. Right off the bat, you were probably expecting this video, if you're watching it within the week it was uploaded, to be the third in my series of videos on how to draw better bodies. That will be going up next week. What happened was I am incredibly sick this week, but I did still want to bring a video to you because you can't call in sick to YouTube. Their phone's disconnected. The somewhat tragic thing is that I actually ended up making that third part of the video this week. I got up the strength despite being sick, sat down, recorded it all, and the capture footage for my actual drawing was completely erased, just dead on arrival. There's some kind of glitch with the current version of Procreate that just completely erased it. There will also still be a new episode of Character Select up on Friday. I just didn't want two character selects to butt up against each other in the uploads. I didn't want people to think that's all I make anymore. But the video that I'm making here, I think there's still a pretty cool lesson in it. So I'm going to share these two time lapses with you. So if you haven't noticed before, I am a huge fan of pangolins. They're just a really cool animal. I like to think that they're kind of like the mammal version of dinosaurs. There's so many unique features to them. They have these triangular scales that they're covered in. They can roll up like armadillos, and something about like their personality. They're so armored and everything, but they still have this really meek little face. And so for the game that we're creating, if you've been listening to Character Select, it's a game called Shackleton that Mark and I are putting together. I was trying to make a non-playable character that's a pangolin here. And so for this first drawing, that was my initial attempt, was to create, using some very simple shapes, a little bit of a toon-styled pangolin. So what you've seen me do here so far is take a sketch that I originally did in my sketchbook, bring it into the program Procreate here, and then add a little bit cleaner line art to that, along with color. And then what I'm doing at this point is I added a multiply layer over the entirety of the character and started erasing away the detail and shading. Now at this point I was happy with how the character was coming out as it is, but at the same time I was finding there was something lacking. I was going back to actual photos of pangolins, which a reference photo will come up here in a second, and realizing that this version of the character is a little bit too toony. In a way, it's almost like a really spiky mole. I wasn't playing to the natural strengths of the actual animal. And so what I did was, looking at some reference photos, I decided to challenge myself a little bit more and incorporate a lot of those actual natural shapes into a more upright standing version of a character. And so I'm sketching out a side view of that here, and next you'll see me carry that over into a new document. And so this is my reason for making this video for you guys, the sort of general point and idea of creating the same character with different shapes. When it comes to drawing in general, especially if we're looking at realistic drawing, the idea is to convey the idea of something as accurately as possible, which means if you're drawing an apple, you want something to look as close to an apple as possible. But when we get to character design, we have this ability to trick our audience a little bit. We have this room to play around with a lot of different shapes, as long as we add something later on that's identifiable as that thing. So in other words, if you took a triangle, but then colored it red and added a little stem with some leaves on top of it, you could trick someone into thinking that that triangle is supposed to be an apple. So hopefully that makes some sense. In character design, it's not always about getting the right shapes for a character, the shapes that accurately represent it in a real life or realistic way. What's more important usually is expressing something, the storytelling, showing the personality of a character. And as we've seen with these two examples, both of these characters are supposed to be pangolins and probably can be recognized as that because of the features on the character. But both of these characters are using drastically different shapes. And so this is what I want you to do is, when you're drawing, when you're creating new characters, try and figure out, be flexible with the shapes of your character. Don't just accept that they have to look a specific way. Try shuffling things around and see if you can't get better storytelling by changing the character and still having them recognizable. That's it for me today. I'm making new videos every week at Character Design Forge. Subscribing on YouTube lets you know when new videos are made available. My course, Learn Character Design, is over 10 hours of video learning. It's a comprehensive character design curriculum. Head over to learncharacterdesign.com to learn more about that. If you like what I make here, or if something I've made has benefited you or educated you and you'd like to show some appreciation back in return, you can head over to patreon.com/bageldenizen. There's some exclusive stuff just for Patreon backers, like videos, high-resolution versions of my Photoshop and Procreate files, and some new things that I'm introducing, which I will announce next week. You also get new episodes of our show Character Select a whole week early. And to the people who are already supporting me there, I'm just really grateful to you. I appreciate that so much. Guys, thank you for watching, and have fun creating.